अम्रपाली अनिल शर्मा
37 लाख देने के बाद भी हम रोड पे हैं।
हम लोग ऑलरेडी EMI दे के परेशान हैं, हम लोग ऑलरेडी रेंट दे के परेशान हैं।
The Delhi Police Economic Offences Wing on Thursday arrested Chairman Anil Sharma of the real estate company Amrapali.
बच्चों के गले काट के साहब यहाँ पर पेमेंट की, यहाँ पर ये बताइए EMI हम दे रहे हैं, किराए पे हम रह रहे हैं।
42,000 से ज्यादा लोगों के फ्लैट फंसाने वाली रियल एस्टेट कंपनी आम्रपाली समूह पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट का शिकंजा कस गया है। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इस समूह का रजिस्ट्रेशन रद्द करने के साथ साथ फ्लैट तैयार करने की जिम्मेदारी NBCC को दे दी है।
NBCC जो इनकम्प्लीट प्रोजेक्ट है उनको कंप्लीट करेगी।
I'm glad the court is seized of the matter. Court has given a judgment. We will study the judgment and we will come back.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर से हमें काफ़ी राहत महसूस हुई है।
सुप्रीम कोर्ट को थैंक्स हमारी तरफ से, क्योंकि हमारी फेवर में वर्डिक्ट आया है आज, जिसका बहुत दिनों से वेट था।
Well, there you go. In an unprecedented move, for the first time ever, the Supreme Court has cancelled the RERA registration of Amrapali. Amrapali now for some time has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. Whether it's MS Dhoni taking Amrapali to court for not being paid for brand endorsement, or for the directors being arrested at the Supreme Court, but instead of jail, they were staying in a Noida hotel, to cheating, to fraudulent acts, and today, is it game over with the cancellation of the RERA registration? It's the first time such a stringent move has been taken. But the question we're going to be asking for the duration of this show is, what does it mean for all of you home buyers that are still waiting for possession of your dream home? If not from Amrapali, from other builders. Are your rights bolstered? What kind of legal recourse can you take? And while it's good that the Supreme Court is taking interest of the builders, of the home buyers, has it done enough? Has it, for example, this verdict going to create confusion in the market? There is more clarification also needed. I'm going to be discussing that and a lot more with the panel that I have with me today. Sumit Saxena, the Vice President of NIFOVA. They took Amrapali head on. Sitting right next to me is the advocate on record, Kumar Menon. And we're also being joined by Vaibhav Gaggar, who had made news the first time round by taking on DLF with home buyers. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Sumit, I'll come to you first. Your stance has been vindicated. But, you know, to be fair, the Supreme Court cracked down on Amrapali, not today, काफी time हो चुका है उसके बारे में. We saw the arrest of the directors from the Supreme Court itself. आज के बाद, what does it mean for the home buyers?
When their home buyers are waiting last from, you know, so many years, Amrapali के इसमें संदर्भ में करीब 42,000 home buyers हैं who are waiting for their home last from 9 to 10 years now. So, they are fighting in Supreme Court now because all the directors are in jail and this thing. Now there is a hope when the Supreme Court today announced the order that RERA registration cancelled, or now NBCC will interfere,
take over, and finish the project.
So let's see now. The Supreme Court ordered that they need to submit their report after 3 months. So let's see what, because there are huge expenses also in this. So let's hope.
Let's ask the lawyer now. You know, if I could ask you, you know, he's saying, you know, more than 40,000 homes that have been impacted, the units that we're talking about. But Kumar, as the advocate on record, what happens to all of those people who have paid their money? When are they going to get their homes? So NBCC has to take over. But if there are fraudulent practices, which the Supreme Court has said that banks were not vigilant enough, that shares had been undervalued, that there is a gap in the books, we don't know where the money is. It's of course with the directors, but where is the money going to come from to finish the projects?
Yes, so if you look at this mammoth 270-page judgment, they have quoted and given a detailed summary of the forensic auditor's report. From page 66 to it goes up to something like 200. In that report, the forensic auditors have identified who all owe money to Amrapali Group, where all the money, how much money has been diverted, and how much money can be recovered. The total dues, as per the forensic auditors, which can be recovered, including the diverted amount, amounts to something like 11,320 crores. Whereas, if you look at the figures given by NBCC, which including their costs, including their commission, The total cost of construction is 8,500 crores. Assuming that the recovery of money which has been diverted is going to take time, even then the money that is going to come from the buyers and from the unsold inventory, as in when constructed and sold, that itself amount to something like 6,300 crores.
So 6,300 crores is the final gap which we don't know who's going to fund.
No, 6,300 crores is the money that we know will come, because...
Okay, that's the money that's going to come in. But how much more is needed?
As per NBCC, the total cost of construction, and we are not talking about the dues that is to be paid to Noida and banks, because Supreme Court has said that that will be at the fag end of once everything is completed. So the total cost of construction right now is something like 8,200 crores. Out of it, 6,300 crores.
So you're short by about 2,000 odd crores.
That we are hopeful can come from the sale of properties which DRT is right now trying to sell.
Okay, let me call Vaibhav Gaggar in as well as the other lawyer that we have on the panel. You've of course attended all the 50 plus hearings in the 56. Okay. Vaibhav Gaggar, the reason we're also talking about this today on national television is because this goes beyond Amrapali. This is a precedent that the Supreme Court has now created for errant builders. The big question I have for you is, what about all the stuck home buyers in other projects in other parts of the country? Is it going to be the onus on them now, like what we've seen in Amrapali's case, that the builder cheated them, that there has been siphoning? But all of this takes a lot of time. It's also expensive. For example, we have the advocate on record who attended nearly 60 hearings in the Supreme Court.
So, Nayan, there are two parts to this. A, this is a massive judgment, because you would recall on a number of times on your show itself, a lot of the speakers have constantly said you have to break the entire conspiracy between the builders, the authorities, the banks and the investors. And every time, this is the first time that the courts have gone so deep, and a tremendous work has been done by the forensic auditors over here, and they've shown how the conspiracy happens. As has been recorded in this order, there was more money available from the sale of the flats itself than that was required for the land and the construction. So the banks came into the fraud by actually giving loans when there was no need for it. They allowed it to get diverted into other accounts. They did not do anything about it. The authorities, the Noida and Greater Noida authorities were complicit in it all along. Various facets have been brought about. You've got JP Morgan being flagged over there to say that that was used as a an entity, as a vehicle to divert funds. Now this actually, and the Supreme Court has also said that the Noida authorities are to look into all such instances in Noida right now. So it is not just restricted to this. One is that it's created a precedent for countrywide, how courts are to look into it, and when the consumers are crying, literally crying blood on this issue and have been doing for so many years. This is the first judgment that they can now authoritatively rely upon to say, this happens, this is not a myth, facts are in front, appoint a forensic auditor, and things will get unearthed. The second part is with respect to Noida. I think there is going to be total chaos for some time, because the authorities have to look into it. The central government has been asked to look into this as well. The ED has been pulled into it. You've got the police looking into it. The Money Laundering Act has to be imposed. So this is going to be a massive step forward in order to cleanse the entire malaise.
No, the repercussions have to be massive, because if the Supreme Court of India is saying the banks have been not vigilant enough, there's been undervalue of shares, they've used words like money laundering, they brought in Noida and Greater Noida Authority. I think the public will also want to see that they're all held accountable. They've all made money. When is the law going to catch up with all of those who have benefited? Hang in there. We are getting our first viewer query live right here on ET now on the Amrapali verdict. Ramesh Kumar from New Delhi is calling in. Ramesh, good evening. What's your query?
Madam, I want to know that Amrapali Group has not paid a penny till date. Where will the money come in to complete projects from to NBCC?
Kumar, you answer this, because you're the advocate on record.
See, this has been a problem right from the beginning, because we filed these cases in 2017, and for 2 years we have been facing this problem of where the money will come from. So to answer that, see, you need to understand, NBCC is not asking for this entire 8,000 crore at one go. They are saying they need some 250 crore per quarter. Right? Supreme Court has now said all the home buyers will deposit their outstanding dues as per their agreement within 3 months from today, with the account to be opened by the court receiver in the Supreme Court. Once that money comes in, the money will be kept in a fixed deposit, and as and when the NBCC achieves milestones, that money will be disbursed to it. So the initial money is going to come from buyers itself. Buyers themselves, and then we are there is a attempt to sell the Amrapali's properties which is going on in DRT. We are hopeful that something will happen there. So right now at least the seed money will come from the buyers, and whatever else is required, that will come from sale of properties. So that's what Supreme Court has now taken care of, because we have been for last 2 years we have been facing this problem. So so first 3 months within.
But I want to know, when the court also says that submit the balance amount to an account, UCO Bank account, that they've said, आप पैसे देंगे? और
Supreme Court में जाएगा वो पैसा, because there is no hope till now. There is no hope till the buyer filed the case in Supreme Court. Before that they are paying EMIs, and there is no hope from Amrapali. Now there is a ray of hope. Let's see if NBCC and Supreme Court can do something, and can, already we are 90% stuck. So the balance is 10% only. So let's see if there is something positive, means like positive news is there. So buyers will definitely pay 10% or 5%, which is the remaining amount.
On the next date, because for people who have taken for home loans, and for whom only 10% or 20% or 30% disbursed, we will need a direction to the banks, because to disburse the balance amount, and also whether they can be paid in installments, etc. So that clarification we will take on the next day.
Okay.
But right now, yes, the idea is that initial seed amount will come from the buyers themselves.
I'm going to now take a query from Twitter. This is coming from Harsh Dhillon, who has written in, when will be the completion of Amrapali Dream Valley? How and when and whom to pay the balance amount? I know we went into all of this, we will go into it. Flat cost booked in 2010 still the same. No excess amount to be paid. Please confirm.
Yes. So yes, you only have to pay as per your initial agreement. There is no excess amount that is going to be charged. You have to pay in the bank account in the UCO Bank in Supreme Court branch, in an account which the court receiver will now open.
That's what we were just talking about.
So, and you don't have to pay anything extras. To that extent, Supreme Court is clear. You only have to pay the outstanding as per your initial agreement.
Vaibhav Gagar, I want to come to you, because this is also national television. We have seen various recourses being used, whether it is the Consumer Court, whether it is the Competition Commission, where of course you were successful against DLF, whether it is now what you're seeing with Amrapali. There's a super tech case. You have a RERA. This is the first instance under RERA where we have seen the cancellation of a registered builder, right? What is the best recourse? How is someone supposed to decide? And the Amrapali case, in that case, is not unique. I'm not saying that every builder has cheated and in every case the bank has misbehaved and the local authorities are involved. I'm not saying that. But there are plenty of people north to south, east to west of India who are stuck. What are they supposed to do? Is this judgment also good enough for them to have the conviction that, yes, go under RERA, go all the way to the Supreme Court, and must it go all the way to the Supreme Court?
No, it must not. Actually, it need not. This is a precedent which is going to be binding and all pervasive. So RERA is the route to go. They have clarified the provisions. A precedent has been set on what all can be done. Even under RERA, there can be investigations as to the diversion of funds, etc. The cancellation of licenses can happen. Section 8 of RERA is also clear that in case a license is cancelled, then the authorities have to make sure that the project is completed. So this is actually just laying a precedent as to what all is possible. You know, till very recently everyone was in a state of despair that nothing is possible. Here we've got the math working out to a large extent. Apart from the consumer funds or the home buyer funds which are still outstanding, which range between 50 to 10% really, also all the amounts that are due or that have been siphoned off have actually been identified by the forensic report. Those funds have to be brought back. The Supreme Court has categorically stated that that has to be done. So I'm not too sure. My learned friend over here, the AOR, would know better. But yes, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's going to pan out. Maybe we'll have to see more cases is what one would imagine. But of course, a very important precedent that has been created. I said this show is for viewers to come and get their queries answered. It's not just from India. We have a viewer from the United States of America, Sudhir, who is calling in long distance ISD. Hi, Sudhir. Thanks for calling in. How can we help you? What's your query?
Basically, my issue is with Noida Authority and the bankers. If they are not held responsible now with Supreme Court, this will continue to happen over and over again. So Noida Authority and bankers should be held responsible for what they have done or not done. Is there anything in the order on these two?
I can just answer you. See, the judgment clearly says that this fraud has been perpetrated in connivance with the officials from authorities and because banks were negligent. So the mortgage created in favor of the bank, Supreme Court has said they were not properly created. They have also said authority cannot ask for its money upfront because they have breached the public trust doctrine. So Supreme Court has clearly said that both these bodies, which is entities, that is authorities as well as banks, they cannot go after the buyers for recovery of money. They have also directed the central government and state government to take action against all the similarly errant builders, not just in Noida, Greater Noida, but all over India. Okay, so there is a direction. If you look at the judgment, there is a clear direction to the central government and state government, and I'm sure right now from today onwards, the governments will ensure that such problems do not happen, and whoever was responsible for this fraud will also be brought to book. So because now investigations will start. So I'm sure something will be done.
Lambi Haath has to catch up with them.
Yes, so that will happen. Okay. We've been fighting for 2.5 years. We have been waiting for almost 10 years. So we'll wait for a little more and see how it goes.
Okay, so before I wrap up, I just have one final question, and we've been getting a lot of this on Twitter. The court has said and mentioned unsold inventories. Yes. What exactly was said?
See, as per the forensic auditors, there are almost 6,000 flats which are unsold. Because remember, the total number of flats in all these projects, as per the figures given by NBCC, were some 46,645. Out of which only 41,000 some flats, or let's say 42,000 flats, have been sold. So there are still almost 5,000 flats which are to be sold, right? So these are what we call as unsold inventory.
That I know, but so this is only for Amrapali, it's not for Pan India.
No, not for Pan.
Only for Amrapali, because we have some information and a certain data that we've taken where the numbers are absolutely astounding when it comes to the unsold inventory, or should I say the unfinished projects that is not completed. From the last count, and as of 2013, it's at 4.64 lakh crore rupees. That's the kind of delayed projects in just Bengaluru, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, National Capital Region and Pune. This is the data that is now on the screen.
Just to add to that, in Supreme Court in August, the Secretary of Government, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Mr. Mishra, was called in court. And in court, he made a statement that till that day, there are 3 lakh unsold or unfinished flats just in NCR region.
Yeah.
So just imagine the magnitude of the problem. it's massive.
It's a massive problem, and you can't have an economy which can reach $5 trillion unless you've got the real estate backing you on that front, the property market making a recovery. You know, I'm out of time. In fact, a trust vote has been lost in Karnataka, so we have to wrap up. I'd like to thank all my three panelists for joining us here. It's a historic verdict which is going to have huge ramifications for home buyers as well as for builders. Many thanks for watching.